Okay, welcome back. We're on page 198, and we're actually ready to start writing us a shell script. Cool. So there's this really cool thing. So I'm going to create me a script. I'm going to call it kumquat.sh. Now, by the way, you remember that the .sh is absolutely meaningless to the computer. This just tells me that this guy is real, that it's going to be a shell script, but it doesn't. Okay, cool. So the first line ought to be something that tells it which scripting language I'm using. Okay, and you do that with a pound sign with an exclamation mark. Okay, and then sh. Now there's a slang word for this. Okay, I don't know where this came from. It's called shebang. That's the shebang line. Look, I don't make this stuff up. I'm just telling you it's called shebang. And whatever. So that means go use the Bourne shell. Except for in our world, it actually goes to dash. But let's don't confuse things. That's what that line does. Cool. Okay. So I have a shebang line. And that ought to be the first line. The second line probably ought to be a comment. And so this is going to be, hey, let's do, I can't really get all that on the screen at the same time. I'm going to do this guy. I'm going to do, some sort of I'm going to do this guy where you convert thing to a letter grade. That's what I'm going to be doing here. Okay, so let me get back to my guy. Yikes, that's not what I meant. I meant this guy. Sorry. Okay, so here I want to put a comment in that says what this guy does. So this guy, I'm going to say, this script converts a numeric grade into a letter grade. Okay, so what have you learned so far? That the pound sign is the comment line. Unfortunately, the pound sign with an exclamation mark is also that shell prefixed guy, the shebang. But okay, pound is how you do that. Cool? All right, very good. So let's just do something simple, like we're going to do this kind of iteratively, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just have it display something on the screen. We're going to come back and fix this. So echo, I don't know, hello from my script. And clearly we're going to change that. And then I'm going to go ahead and just say exit with a 0. Cool. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save this guy. So I should have, I probably actually have quite a few things called, yeah. Okay, now, so I've created a shell script, but it probably makes sense for me to add execute permission to this guy. So execute permission, remember you can do this with the octal notation thing, but it's actually a lot easier to do it without it. So chmod plus x, okay, plus x means just add execute bit everywhere on all 3 sections for kumquat.sh. Okay, so in theory, I should be able to just type kumquat.sh and it should run my script because it's an executable now. Oh yeah? What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to work? Can I just say kumquat.sh and the machine's going to say, I know exactly what you're talking about? No. Why? Because of that damn path variable. Now, if I was to create my own bin directory and put it in bin and add it to bin, then I could get away with doing this. Okay? But this, since it's not part of the path, it cannot find it. Even though we're in the correct location, the machine's still not going to find it. It's got blinders on. It only looks at commands that appear inside the path. Okay, the path environmental variable. And I do not have anything that says look in the current directory in the path. So in this case, I'm going to have to tell it where the hell this guy is. I'm going to have to be very specific. This is that shortcut notation for current directory. Okay, kumquat.sh. And it says, okay, cool. Now, I know that's a little confusing, but it's safety, right? That way nobody can just pop in a shell script into your home directory without you looking. And then next time you type in the ls command, it runs something other than ls, right? Okay. So that's good. Okay, if you do an awful lot of shell scripts, then yeah, go ahead and create a bin directory, and I'll go ahead and alter the path, and so that you don't have to do this. Cool beans. All right. So how do you launch this thing? Well, one way is just type it just like I just did. That's the first way you can launch a shell script. The second way you can launch a shell script is to tell it that I want to run the shell and then type kumquat.sh. Okay? That's another way. So one way would be give it the exact path to get there. Cool. Or give it the name of a shell and have it run the shell. The only problem here is you kind of sort of have to know what shell you're running. Because if I tell it shell, sh, and this is a JavaScript, it ain't going to work. Okay, so again, for the sake of the human, I put .sh out there, right? For the human's sake, but on the other hand, it also tells me that's probably what I should type to make this thing work. So the first one is give it the full path or put it in the path environmental variable. Second one is invoke the shell and point it to it. And there's a third one called source. This one's a little weird. Source kumquat.sh. And what that basically does is I was not expecting that. What this basically does is takes that script and just like replaces or puts it into the current session. So if I want to run that inside the current shell, obviously when I put that exit 0 in there, it logged me out. So I'm gonna have to do this over again. CIS4335. Okay, cool. Let me get back to those the K's. Okay, cool. Oh, by the way, kind of cool that execute shows up in green. All right. So source means run the script, but don't create another shell to you. Actually, put it in the current shell. All right. You might think, okay, I hear those words, but I don't have a clue why you'd ever want to do that. Well, let's say that inside my my shell script, I set an environmental variable. Well, if you just ran it with the other two methods, specifying the path or sh, that environmental variable only has the life of the run of the shell script, and when the shell script is over, that environmental variable just disappears. Poof. If I did source, when I was done, that environmental variable sticks with me. So if I set, I set a variable called, I can't think of anything, set a variable called, pay grade. When I ran the script, pay grade is going to remain with me the entire time now. Okay, so that's the difference. So 3 techniques, right? Cool. All right. All right, so some sort of file naming. Most people, when they have a script, it's a verb, right? Like calculate or convert, or in this case, convert number to letter is kind of long, but if I said convert to letter or letter to number or something like that, it kind of invokes something that says what this thing does. Kumquat, on the other hand, it doesn't tell me anything, right? So that's just me and my stupid examples. But anyway, you should pick names for scripts that actually mean something and perhaps are verbs. Okay. So on page 201, they talk about how you can do input and output inside a shell script. Echo, right? The same old echo we've always done. And there's also one called printf. And printf is for fancier things. For example, with printf, I can suppress the, I can do all sorts of cool things. I can have formatting, like I want, commas here or dollar signs or decimal points, all those kinds of things. So printf is very cool. If you're into programming, you probably already know about printf. Otherwise, just plain old use echo like we've always done. Remember those escape sequences, like the tab and the bell and all the rest of that stuff? That'd be kind of handy. And then the other one is just read. So if I was to go in here and say, vi kumquat, we're going to get back to that example. It's just going to take me a while. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to open a new line. Remember how to do that? I'm going to do an open. Then I'm going to say read name. What that means is read from the keyboard some variable called name. And then I'm going to say echo your name is name. Okay? Actually, I probably should change the first one, huh? Because that doesn't make too much sense, does it? Let me change this. I'm going to do how about enter your name, like that. Hey, echo by itself is going to put a new line at the end. What if I don't want to do that? What if I want to have the cursor to stay right there? Cool. Let me do that. So -n, okay? That'll make the cursor stay put. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to do the .sh, the dot guy. So kumquat.sh. It says enter your name, Bob. Your name is Bob. Cool. All right. So you've learned a couple things. You learned using echo for print, or you can use printf if you want to do something really fancy. Read is very simple, and you learn the -n thing, so you don't have to have something show up. Now, this is gonna. Well, let's just keep going. Okay. So exit codes. Well, I typically use just exit 0 and exit 1. Okay. Now there actually is really is a list of the exit code numbers, okay? But to tell you the truth, it's not really that important, and no one really follows it. You could say that, well, error number 5 means this. Yeah, you could, okay? There actually is a feature you can use called p error, which stands for print error, okay? And I'm sorry, I meant man p error. It's a way to come up with printing an error message based upon a number, okay? So if it's a number, then you can do this thing. So it would convert a 14 to whatever the error message is for 14. I'm just telling you that people typically don't do that in shell scripts, but it's there. So basically just use 0 for success and 1 for not success, and everybody will be happy. Okay, so one of the things you might have to do is to find out if what you typed on the command line is what the script was expecting. Sometimes it's just merely the thing of count how many things. Okay, on line page 203, they talk about how you can look at the command line. Okay, so the first one says $pound, which is the number of arguments. The next one is $*, which is all of the arguments displayed. Dollar with an @ sign is put the arguments in an array. $1 is be the first one. $2 be the second thing you typed in. So for example, let's just edit our guy again. Kumquat. sh. So, well, helps you spell it right. Okay, so let's say if you typed in the person's name on the command line, I'm not going to prompt you for the name. But if you forgot, then I am going to prompt you for the name. So right here, before I do this echo guy, I'm going to have to ask the machine how many command line parameters were actually entered. Ooh, so I'm going to do an open above. Remember how to do that with a capital O? Open above. And so I'm going to do an if statement. Now, if statements use square brackets, okay? I know this is a little weird, so just kind of bear with me. And we haven't really talked about the if statement yet, so I'm just going to get through this example, and I promise we'll come back. So here I'm going to go and say $pound. Whoop, pound. That means a number. And I'm going to say if $pound is not equal, don't worry about exactly how that works. If it's not equal to 1, then I want to do this echo and read the name. Otherwise, I'll just take it from the command line. Except, doggone it, we're kind of running out of time. So let me pause this, and I promise we'll finish this guy in just a second.